Hey guys, it's Phantom here, and welcome back to a brand new video, everyone. So in today's video, I am going to be giving my take on the question of whether Wizard101 is pay to win or not. Now, on the surface, this may seem like a pretty easy question to answer, and I think if you would just ask like the average Wiz player, most people would probably say that the game is very pay to win in general. There are a lot of options that a lot of players can go, a lot of routes that people can go down with just real life money to pretty much make the game like a lot easier, a lot more bearable, whatever you want to call it. But is the game legitimately pay to win? I mean, do you really need to spend money to actually have success and thrive within this game? Well, I think it kind of gets a little bit more complicated at that point. I feel like the argument gets a little bit more convoluted though when people just take a look at all of like the over monetization that like King Xyle instills into this game and just completely writes off the entire game as pay to win without considering alternative methods of going through this game and not dropping any extra money besides the money that is like required for a membership, for instance. I think there really are two sides, however, when we are discussing this issue. Two major areas of the game that a lot of people, play in that are obviously very prevalent in the grand scheme of the game, and that is, of course, PvE as well as PvP. I'm just going to go ahead and cover PvE first because I do believe that PvE is really like is like kind of the core essence, of this game that pretty much makes up the entire player base, because even if you are like a primarily PvP player nowadays, you at least started with PvE because the game at its core is just PvE. Like, that is the game. Like, you're going through the game, right, defeating mobs, leveling up, completing quests, right, all in order to get to max level, and that is the game itself. And PvP, even though it is a very big part of it that a lot of wizards take part in, it is just a side activity at the end of the day. So ultimately, I would say if we are really just discussing PvE right now, my opinion is that it really is not pay to win at all. And honestly, I could see some people just already disagreeing and just writing angrily in the comments about how this is not true whatsoever, but just hold on, give me a chance here. The reason I say that PvE is not pay to win whatsoever is because, like I said at the beginning of the video, even though this game is just absolutely littered with monetization, you don't actually have to buy into any of that to have any sort of success in PvE. Of course, the option is always there, but is it very necessary to actually do well in this game? Like, do you have to spend money on, let's say, I don't know, can I click on the crown shop, please? But do you have to spend extra money, like on stuff like spellaments, like gear, as you're just kind of leveling up like every 10 levels or so to increase your stats little by little, to better meet the difficulty of each world as you go through it? No, I really don't think you have to do that. And the fact of the matter is that this game just really is not that difficult. It's really not that difficult, and you can honestly get by with just farming for the regular gear, just farming bosses or mobs for gear that you obviously don't need to pay for, and said gear that you do actually get from these bosses and mobs give you stats that are just really more than enough for, yourself, your wizard, to actually beat this game. Dungeons like, I don't know, let's say Mount Olympus, right, Waterworks, Zigzag, Darkmoor, and of course the Catacombs, none of those dungeons actually require you to spend money to get through them and get the correct gear. You can literally go through them with just a membership. Of course, you're going to need to put in a little bit of time, especially if you're not going to spend crowns on the dungeon, on extra dungeon chests, but you can totally do it. You can totally do it. It might take you a little while, but if you have enough grit and determination, you don't need to spend any money at all to really get the best PvE stats. Same goes for pets as well, right? If you just have hard work and dedication, and I know that the hatchmaking kiosk can be expensive and everything, but if you do work hard, if you do work really, really hard at hatching up those pets, you know, eventually you will get the talents that you want. So of course, if you have all of your gear, you have a good pet. I mean, the mounts don't really matter, but my point is most of this gear is totally just obtainable by simply farming. Not to mention, if you are going through the game with a couple of your friends, the game is going to be made even easier for you, and I mean, you don't even really need the best gear at that point. Of course, most people probably will want the best stats and they will go for it anyway, but if we're really just talking about beating the game in general, you know, even if you just get a couple of your pals, it can make the experience a lot more bearable, and you can just see that money is not really necessary to accomplish really anything in this game concerning PvE. Alright, I think I have covered PvE sufficiently, so let's move on to the other area of the game, PvP. So I don't really I'm just gonna spend a little bit of a shorter time on this because it's not nearly as big of a part of the game as PvE, but there is quite a big community around it still. So I will say for PvP, and I have not done really much PvP myself, so I will say from what I have seen from the PvP side of things, a lot of it does seem to be really, really dictated by pay to win stuff. Now, I can't give you a lot of specific examples. I mean, let me just try to think for a second. A lot of gear, though, as a whole, is just a lot of gear that is necessary, I suppose, to do really, really well in PvP and get the absolute best stats to best your opponents. Well, a lot of it comes in packs. Let me just think. Okay, yeah, the Marleybone Motorist Horde pack, for example, right? I know there was a really, really good robe that was released in this pack, the Motorist robe that was very, very close in stats to the Dragoon robe or something like that, or maybe it was even better. But the point is, people were kind of just freaking out about this robe because it was a really, really good robe, and it is, you know, nearly necessary in PvP to do well, right? But it's locked behind a paywall, and you know, that's what kind of pisses a lot of people off, is all this stuff is kind of locked behind a paywall. I don't know, let me think. Another thing, for example, I guess spell elements. Yeah, spell elements would be another noteworthy point. Right, of course, spell elements, you get to upgrade your spells, they get stronger. However, for a lot of the spell elements, you know, and let's just take the Celestian Spellmental pack for example, a lot of them you can't get without spending money, and the people who actually do have money can upgrade these spells, and therefore they will do better in PvP. So I do think in a lot of cases, yes, PvP is very, very pay to win. It just kind of feels weird talking about it just because I haven't done much myself, but it does seem pretty clear, you know, I have been in this community for a really, really long time, that PvP can be very, very pay to win at times. I mean, I'm sure there are, of course, right, different methods that you can use to get around using Crown's gear in PvP to actually do well. I know that Blake has multiple setups that he uses on his wizards that don't actually consist of Crown's gear, and of course he is still a really, really, really good player, so it's not completely dependent on money. But from what I have observed, there are a lot of instances where to get the best gear, you know, you're gonna have to pay for it, and to actually get that rank up, you know, sometimes in some cases, of course not all of them, but it really helps to actually have this best gear. The kind of gap between the people who pay and the people who don't pay, right? It's a little bit bigger in this case. That's just from what I've seen though, and that's kind of just my take on things. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be it for the video, everyone. I hope this was a little bit eye-opening for some people concerning PvE, and I hope it was a little bit more informative for people, you know, who are maybe looking to PvP. I'm not really sure, man. I hope this did, you know, help you out nonetheless, or maybe it was entertaining. If you did enjoy the video, you could always leave a like or subscribe to the channel. It really does help out, and I do appreciate it a ton. Anyways, though, I will see you all in the next video or stream, whenever that may be, so take care and peace out, everyone.